I'm gonna kill the music just in case. You know, you never know. You never know how they might be jamming some good old Bloodborne music. So these guys have a tournament going on, is basically what it is. I'm going to try to pull up some of the information. Sound shared it with me. They have legitimate registered teams. These guys are gone all out, man. They've got a league, and I'm not exactly sure who's in the league, but we're gonna check it out in a second here. We'll check out some stats. What we're looking at, I believe, tonight is Cagz versus. Let's see. I actually circled the wrong thing in Discord. It was late, so don't worry about that. Yeah, it's D2RS versus Cagz, the Cagz Wizard. Cagz is Toshank's team. That's what we're watching right now. And these guys appear to be on the Rush team, I believe. All because the way that these team signups work is that it appears as though people sign up on a Rush or Camp character. You can't necessarily swap based on the team. If you're on Rush, you play a certain class. If you're on Camp, you play a certain class. I believe that's how it works. And just based on historical knowledge of checking things out earlier, I think Toshank is on a Din on Camp. So the fact that he's on a Necro tells me they're probably on Rush. Now, what is Rush v Camp? What is going on here? It's basically, it refers to the roles that each team has, right? We're going to try to kick over. It's a little bit of pixelation here. It refers to the roles that each team has. So if you're the Camp team, usually you have a Zon player, and you're trying to protect the Zon as the Zon just shoots up the game, right? Shoots up the entire opposing team, puts them down, right? If the Zon stays alive, usually for about 10 minutes, if the Zon stays alive, then the Camp team just wins. So that's the big challenge. It adds some urgency to the duel. And yeah, this we've tuned into D2RS here. This is I believe, yeah, this is the Camp team. As you can see, they've got the Zon, and right now we're watching XS Bale's screen. He's on the Din. There's a very important dynamic between those two, right? Very important dynamic between the Zon and the Din. The Din is very likely a Hammer Din. Even though he's got that fanaticism war on right now, I think that's probably coming from the Barb or something else. He is not a smiter, right? This guy's just going to be chucking hams by the Zon and trying to protect people from coming in and stomping the Zon. So the Rush team, they're trying to come in, take down the Zon, essentially take down the entire team, but the Zon is prime target. Because if she stays alive for too long, they just straight lose. That's it. But it's also pretty devastating because the Camp team will also have a Necromancer going around casting amplify damage on the opposing team. Beautiful hits there from Wiz. That guy right there, Savage. We saw him in the DFC. Everybody has a role in team duels. It's pretty wild, man. It's really wild to watch. And it seems chaotic if you've ever done team duels. Maybe you die quick and you're like, man, I don't understand this. I don't understand what's going on. But once you understand the role of your character, you'll start to know how to contribute to the team a lot better. So like right now, it's hard to tell. I think their Zon is down. So now this Hammerdin, like he's failed. He's failed, right? Failed to protect the Zon with the hams. So now the team is in trouble. They don't have the Zon. There's no longer a time limit because the Zon is down. But now this Hammerdin is like, he could theoretically protect the Necro. That's also something he could do. The Necro could spam, but then again, you got the Druid alive, and that's really bad. You got a Hammerdin protecting a Necro. It gets pretty bad because the Druid has a pretty decent matchup versus both of those guys. Druid rushes in and stomps. And that's exactly what the Druid's role is on Rush, right? Druid's trying to get in there, trying to split up or look for opportunities when the Din walks away from the Zon, when no one's protecting the Zon. Usually the Druid goes after the Protector, right? It's usually a Hammerdin. Sometimes if the Hammerdin goes down, the Necro can do it. The Druid can comfortably go after both of those guys, but it's not as easy for the Druid to go after the Zon. He can do it if she's not expecting it, if she's wide open, but he's usually going after the Protectors if they split up. It's hard to do it when they're neck and neck, toe to toe, right? Sure, you could try to stomp the Din, but then the Zon's going to tear the Druid up, right? He has to be opportunistic, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. Is we're looking at one team rush trying to split the team up. They usually have a Sin to do it, to lay traps down and try to split the team up that way, make the Zon move. But in some way, they're trying to split the team up. The Druid is going to be the big punisher. That's what the Druid's trying to do. Get in there, punish the protectors. And then there's a variety of classes that can go after this Zon if she's split up. Usually it's a good idea. If you feel yourself with a good opportunity to go after the Zon, that's what you do. But man, those Druid players, and especially with both teams having a Necro, amplified damage is always up. So there's those Druid nados right there hurt. I cannot believe he just got that. I cannot believe he just hammered that Druid, man. That was not supposed to go that way. He was supposed to run away. That Druid, I think, was looking... Wiz was looking to chain him as he was running away. He didn't expect him to stay right there and trade. But those nados hurt with that amplified damage up, man. That's why a Necro is so good on both teams. Not only on the camp team does it help with the Zon, with the physical damage that you get from the arrows, right? That's physical damage. Amplified damage, of course, lowers your target's physical resistance. Helps with that physical damage, helps with the physical damage from the nados, which are also physical damage, helps with the barbs damage. Team synergy in your composition is huge, and both of these teams have it. D2RS got one? Oh yeah, hell yeah, man. It's interesting. That was an interesting exchange there. I did not expect that to go that way. I was ready to swap screens. I see that Druid stomp XS Bale screen here. I see him stomp. I was like, yeah, that's it. We're going to have to find another screen to watch here. But he actually kept spinning and took out the Druid. That usually doesn't happen that way. Usually when a Druid stomps, it's so bad for a Hammered In because they're just going to take some nados and they're all of the Druid's pets. Their Oak Sage, the Wolves, all of this will stop hammers that are coming at them. It'll get in the way of the hammers. So you have to get through 5 or 6 pets before your hammers even connect on the Druid. So when you have been stomped to the pixel by a Druid as a Hammered In, usually you run away. Usually that's not a good position to be in. But his lucky stars aligned. It looked like possibly the arrows from the Amazon might have wiped out a crucial amount of the pets from the Druid right at the right time. And he was able to land some of those hammers, man. Very, very lucky. There it is. You see how much those nados hurt. Just that one nado almost right there. More than half-lifed him. Really, really tough. And that's probably... Look at it. He's got COA. He's got nasty DR. Yeah, now he's in trouble. Yeah, and... right now, the Din here could easily take on the Barb. I say easily. You could still get const. You could still get hurt pretty bad by some physical damage when you have amp up like that. But the one thing that's really preventing him from setting up here in these spots where the team gets segregated a little bit is that Druid. He can't really set up and take too long to look for an angle, look for his timing, because then the Druid just stomps. And we know how bad that is. See, that's usually what happens. You see how Wiz, the Druid, stomped him there, and he immediately teleported away? That's usually what we see in those exchanges. That's usually how that goes. Because it's just so dangerous, especially when you've got amplified damage up. It looks like the entire opposing team is still alive, too. Looks like all of this team. I'm going to try to cut over to Toshank's point of view here. But it looks like this entire team is still alive. Yeah, this is really bad. They still got their Necro to keep that amp up. You even see some really committed team players here that, you know, really committed to playing teams because his Necro, this guy's Necro is named Zon. That is the only reason you do that is because you're a team player and you're trying to confuse people who are looking at the screen. That's the only reason you name your character that as a Necro. That's it. Yep, 2v4 without Zon, they already lost. Yeah, for sure. I think at that point, like, the Din just follows... You have to follow your teammate around and just spam hams all the time. It's certainly a losing battle, though. Especially if you have the caliber of players that we see here on a team. like, they're not going to make the filthy casual mistakes of just, you know, not paying attention to where the din has been and where Hammerfields might be, knowing the ideal positions for the din to be in, looking for their opening to stomp the teammate. Like, it's crazy, man. We're now watching Toshank's screen again here. He's on the Rush team. And as you can see with his team comp here, Wiz, Jock, Ho, these guys, we've got a Sin, Druid, and a Barb. Barbs are very common on team comps just because it's really hard to beat Barb battle orders, man. It's really hard to beat. But also, as we saw in the DFC recently, Barbs have some very interesting setups in teams. It's a very, very interesting class because Stadium PK illustrated this perfectly when we were dialing into his perspective in team tools. He had the typical Beast Grief, you know, Zerker setup on one side, but then on his weapon swap, you would think that he has Warcry sticks, Hodos, or whatever to beef up his battle orders. But no, he actually had another Beast Zerker and a shield, and Storm Shield. And that's because if you're on the Rush team like that, if you're trying to rush the Zon, you got to be able to block sometimes, and especially if the Necros or if the other Barb starts engaging with you, you've got to be able to block. It also forces the other Barb to put on block even though they're on the camp team. It's pretty crazy. I agree, yeah. Good observation too, Foos. Like this, yeah. Titan, Atlas is on Wiz, I believe. I think I remember that from the DFC. That guy is savage. We saw him play on a couple of different classes. This guy is insane. Toshank, Sachu, yeah, that seems like a good team, man. But then again, I mean, it's a very competitive format. These guys have done multiple tournaments like this, and they are no strangers to the team duels. It really comes down to, you can be a really good, you know, star player in and of yourself, but really what it comes down to is how well do you know how to play your team role on top of being a good player, right? Being a good player isn't always good enough in teams. If you don't know how to cooperate, you don't know what you're doing here, you could have 2 or 3 people on top of you, and doesn't matter how good you are, man. It's hard to get out of that. It's hard to respond. You're suddenly playing with your back against the ropes. You're suddenly playing on the back pedal. Beautiful chain here from Toshank, though. Going after Zon, aka the Necro. But it looks like Toshank's team is down to 2 players. Him and the Sin are the only people left. And what is the strategy here? I would assume both of these guys, they're kind of 2 ships sailing in the night is what the Necro and the Sin are. They can collaborate a little bit, but typically the Necro he's going to be a distance dueler, the Sin's going to be a distance dueler, and they're both going to try to cover wide ground, right? And the way they can work together is a couple of ways. If the Sin kind of sets up in a certain area with 5-stack traps, the Necro can spam spirits through it. But most likely how these guys are going to work together is try to tackle 2 different angles, right? Like the Sin prevents people from coming from a certain angle, the Necro spams the other, right? But then again, when you've got an entire team like this, it looks like they have at least 3 players, at least 3 on their team still alive. They're going to just be so good at splitting you guys up and picking the angle that you weren't prepared for, right? If one of them comes in, a lot of times you got to respond to it. Oh, big hits there. Now Toshank is in trouble. Now, theoretically, the Necros can use teeth here as well. It's, you know, it isn't just typical NVN, right? So they could spam teeth, and if the opposing Necro starts doing that, Toshank could be in a lot of trouble. Gets rough, but then again, they've got a Hammered in as well. Now, Toshank isn't necessarily 1v1 anyway. Not necessarily worried about that Hammered in. But he is worried about 2 players coming after him at once here, especially when you've got a Necro. It looks like they've got the Din, the Necro, And I didn't see if anybody else dropped on the other team. No, they've still got, I think they've still got Tumo. I don't exactly know what role that is on their team. I'm not sure if it's, what, is that a, who is Tumo? Is he on Druid? No, he's Barb. Okay, never mind. Down he goes. Toshank got the Barb. Tumo Barb. All right, GG. SX Titan will 1v3. Yeah. I think, yeah. There's certain classes that can 1v3 in teams, right? Like, again, it really depends on skill level. But, like, if you have a Sin or a Necro, the Necro's a little bit harder to do it. A Sin can really pull it off depending on your claw block, your weapon block RNG, and all of this, too. A Sin can really do it. But a Necro, they also have the ability. The thing is, you got to set up your spirit trains, and if you have enough players really hunting you down and they're not giving you any space, it's really hard to get in and do it. Block Necro can 1v4, yeah, true. Yeah, and Toshank, it looks like he is on a block Necro here. He's got an SS on. What's the block limit in teams? Is it isn't 75, is it? No limit. Wow, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, that changes things. Yeah, you could certainly 1v4 them. I believe the score, I want to say it's 2-2. I want to say that it's 2-2 currently, right? Am I wrong about that? I've seen both teams fall a couple of times. (3-1) Okay. I'll believe it. And down goes the Necro. Toshank taking down the Barb and the Necro. And there it is, man. Coming back from the brink of defeat with 2 players left, the Sin and the Necro. Toshank pulls it. Pulls it right out of nowhere. That was wild. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, it might have been 2-1 possibly, or 2-2. And they might be doing 2 sets. Swapping it up, Rush v Camp. Yeah, okay. Now Toshank's going on his Camp character. So one of those guys just reached 3. That was Toshank's team. I think it was at least 3-1, possibly 3-2 there. That's 5-1. Holy shit. It's FT5 in this tournament. Wow, holy shit. All right. Yeah, we might have missed a couple of the first rounds. We tuned in like 7 or 8 minutes late. But yeah. Yeah, that's nuts. All right, cool. Wow. I thought Toshank's team was down there. When I saw it was like 3 or 4 versus 2, I was like, wow, you guys are toast. But nah, man, they pulled it off. Sin and Necro. Of all of the classes that can really go 1v4 in and of themselves, block Necro and Sin, and then when you get players, you know, a player like Toshank on the Necro, I don't know who was on the Sin, but he did good. That was nasty. Now they're swapping it up, though. Now, Toshank, person we're watching right now, he's going to be on a Hammerden, and they're swapping roles, right? They're going from Rush team to Camp team. Now, you're going to see Toshank assume the role of protecting the Zon. What we saw in the DFC, though, is Toshank also has the propensity to go after players who stray a little too close and think that they're safe, think that they can just get in and out, right? Toshank will actually chase you. Now, sometimes that can be good, right? Because he can just residually get kills on you, and it's real bad. You suddenly lose one of your guys that was going in to scout, going in to harass the Zon, and he just gets felled by the Din, who actually chased him. That's pretty devastating. But the other side of that is, when he does that, that's exactly what the opposing team is waiting for. They're waiting for the Din to go off and try something creative, try something, cute, and get away from the Zon. So it gives an opportunity when he does that for his teammates to go in, or for the opposing teammates to go in and take down the Zon, arguably the most important character on the team. Root's a little yapping dodger. Jesus. Just straight dodging. Well, he's the LLD champ now, man. He's he's gonna talk from on top of the throne now. Just how it is. You know, he's a champion once again. You got to put some respect on his name, you know. He doesn't get out of bed for any less than 2 mil, you know. That boy ain't messing around. Gators LLD win. Yeah, I would love to see it, dude. I'm telling you, there have been some HLD players that have gone over into the LLD scene and stove shit up. So back on LOD, Maddie and Joby started playing LLD. Like they started playing low-level dueling, and they hopped into a team's tournament. It was 2s. They destroyed it. And I was like, okay, all right, there's that. Toshank in D2R started doing low-level dueling, and the dude was king for the longest time. The dude was king. You know what I mean? And then I think he just got bored and was like, all right, I'm going back to HLD. I'm sick of swapping to a teleport staff when I want to teleport. Give me back my Enigma. Yeah, I told you, Gertie, he's a champ now, man. He's a champ. Yep. Tough bout. He finally ended the reign of who was it? Who was the champ before? I forget. I don't know. Good guy though. Probably one of the best din players I've ever seen. Toshank, big fan, man. We're tuning right into your side right now. We was just talking about how this round might go from what we've seen in the DFC of Toshank, the opportunities that might present themselves, but certainly the threat, the duress that all of the opposing team will always be under with any mistake that they make.
Greetings.
Clan D2RS. Versus the Clan Cagz. Clan Cagz is Toshank's team. That's what we're watching right now. A mediocre H-din? I wouldn't say you're too bad, man. Took out the Mooches in a straight no cheese H-din v Zan. That's pretty good, man. It's a pretty good one under your belt right there. The only thing we were saying that we noticed is that there's sometimes, and I'm not sure if Dins always do this. I'm going to have to watch some more camp teams, but I'm not sure. I just think it's in your blood, Toshank, to just chain people. When they come in and they give you an opportunity, I think it's like a dog in a treat, right? Just goes right after it. He sees the opportunity to chain someone who's just stayed on screen for too long. Toshank's going to go after it. He's gonna chase him down. It's gonna be bad for that person. But the flip side of it is that he's stepping away from the Zon, and that's exactly what the opposing team is waiting for. Established, what's up, man? When Gertie playing? Next. Yeah, it's more like a guard dog, is what it is. It's what he is. He's in guard dog mode. You know what I mean? Comes in and he's just a pit bull. Someone comes knocking at that Zon door. Toshank's he's not just gonna bark from the inside. He's jumping through that damn door and he's gonna rip their head off. That's what he's gonna do. He's a guard dog pit bull, dude. That's what he is. Yeah, non-ladder, dude. That's where all the duels take place. I'm not sure if you ever tried to duel on ladder. It's different. It's different over there.
I am overburdened.
It's very different.
I am overburdened.
By that I mean not as serious and certainly not as skilled. I mean, nothing against those ladder players, you know. But I mean, it makes sense that the people who are really committed to PvP are going to be on non-ladder anyway, because who really wants to rebuild your character every season when you get nasty 230, 22 open socket lifer diadems? Do you want to buy that every season on ladder? Do you want to, like, try to track that down? No, you're just going to duel on non-ladder, right? I mean, all for what on ladder? To beat people who are far less skilled a lot of times. Like, it's just not a big draw for a lot of people. Toshank got in trouble early there. Now he's chasing down Zon, who I believe is still a Necro. And even going as far as to throw some harassment at the Druid there was Toshank. But notice he is staying around the Zon here. That's very smart. See, he's bouncing back and forth between, you know, above and below the Zon. Oh man, and look at this. This is what I mean by this absolute pit bull in this guy. He saw an opening with the Druid and he just starts chucking hams at him, dude. Just starts just stomping and chucking hams. It's ridiculous. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by it's a double-edged sword. Like, most Dins wouldn't do that to you. They wouldn't do it. There it is. Very nice combo there. Toshank doing a lot of the damage to the Druid there. And his teammate finishing him up. That was savage, man. All right, let's kick over to the other team here. XS Bales. Let's check it out. We don't have permission to talk in this channel. Yeah, these are team channels. You'll probably also get that message if you're in the D2R PvP Discord. They want everybody else to shut up. Team comms are important, man. All right, so this is the opposing team. The people going up against Team Cagz. D2RS right here. These guys are on rush duty now. It's so much of a role reversal when you go into rush, right? You're looking for your angle on the Zon, and then Toshank starts stomping you. It's pretty ridiculous. By the way, I just want to say this. Sorry that I missed this so long ago. Jeff P, my dude, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Sorry I missed that so long ago. I think we were just swapping over, getting switched over to teams. A lot of chaos and shit, and I must have missed that. Big apologies to you, my dude, but I want to give you a special cheers. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. And then also, Shirley Serious. By the way, bro, hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Have you decided that you're going to play ladder, or are you going to play PoE 2? Or are you saying F at all? What are you doing? How goes it? Oh my gosh, established TTV, my boy. Dude, thank you so much for the Prime, brother. That's huge. Really, really appreciate it. Big cheers. Big cheers to you and other Prime bro Jeff P. By the way, also, Jeff P, happy that you joined up in the DFC, my dude. Big cheers to that. Shirley, we appreciate you, man. We really do. Believe it or not, Shirley used to be pretty savage in team duels, too. This guy used to be pretty big in team duels. Like, played him a lot. You could learn a lot just from this guy's knowledge. I mean, he joined the DFC a while ago and was he did all right, but this guy was a monster in team duels. And you talk about somebody who knows the roles very well, knows how to play his role, knows how to do what he needs to do. That's Shirley, dude. I got sucked into another group. We shall be racing though. Oh shit, nice. Used to be, still am. Hell yeah. A huge doo-doo. What? Tier 1 sub. Holy shit, man. Big cheers, brother. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. Starting up on the hype train too, bro. Can't thank you enough for that. Damn, son, and down goes XS Bales. Let's try to switch some perspective here. That could be it. That Druid is a big threat. That Druid character usually a pretty big threat. And now let's go over to Titan over here. See what's going on. Let's see what's up. Yep, these guys still out in the moor. Okay, Titan is on the Zon. This is Titan's screen that we're watching. And as you can see, this is how it's going to look from his perspective. And you'll see now Toshank's stepping away a little bit, right? He kind of has the room to do it. They've taken a few people out on the opposing team. They've taken at least the Druid out, which, you know, one less thing, right? But now look at this. The Zon, seeing her opportunity, tries to come in and close the distance. The thing is here, though, the Sin, the Arya that's coming in, is also a distance dueler, right? Trying to set things up from a distance. She can lay some traps, make the Zon move a little bit, but is probably still going to be eating a lot of those arrows on the outside, especially if she doesn't have a lot of help from her team, right? It's not an ideal engagement for the Zon. It's more of just the Sin's job is to lay traps and make the Zon move. It's ideally to split the team up when they're camping the Zon. But damn, look at this. Just some 1-2 punches right there from Zon and Necro together, taking out the opposing Necro. And now looks like Toshank just dropped. They've lost their Din. All they have is Necro and Zon, but it looks like they've wiped the floor clean of the other team. That was it. As long as that Zon stays alive, man, I'm telling you, it's probably the most important character on the camp team for sure. Because as more players fall on the other team, the harder it gets to actually take out the Zon. Right? That massive range of the bow.
Good day.
It's just constant chip damage. The Necro's probably got the opposing team amped, so it's more than just chip damage a lot of times. You land that guided, it's nasty damage. But as soon as you lose a player, man, it starts to get even harder. It's like rolling backwards down a hill when your team loses a player against the camp team. Yeah. This Zon is insane. 5-1 Cagz on rush side, 2-0 Cagz on camp side. Sound, what's up, my dude? Big cheers, big cheers. Yeah. Yeah, Team Cagz, man. So their team makeup, that's Toshank. That's the Toshank team, right? It's Toshank, Titan, Satchu.
I can't carry anymore.
And who else was it? Atlas. That's who it was. Yeah, god damn. That team is stacked. See, Atlas is, we've never seen him in the DFC, like, do 1v1s. All we saw was last week in the DFC, Atlas come in and perform in Rush v Camp. And I think he was on Barb and Druid, if I remember correctly. I think that's what he swapped back and forth between. And god damn, man.
I can't carry
that was insane. His skill on both was very impressive. See, a lot of these guys, man, like they enjoy the 1v1s. It's like I said, this is a whole different way to duel right here, and it feels different. It feels a lot more enjoyable for some people because it's not just one person that you're chasing around lating, right? You're just doing your role. You're getting in and out. You always have something to deal with. You always have a situation to give your attention to. You're not just, you rarely run into these situations where you're lating people, someone's lating you, right? Unless it's like 1v3, 1v4, then it totally makes sense. You got 3 people going after this guy, right? Totally different feel. It looks like, was that Titan? Was that X? No, that was XS Bales, I think, that just went down. Holy, he got blown up, dude. Necro and Zon just double teaming him as he goes in. Just blown up as soon as he landed. Big hits from the jab on the Zon with the amp up. I'm telling you, man, that physical damage. This is why the Zon is so important. Holy shit! That Barb just went from 100 to 0 in one exchange. The whole team jumped on him. He tried to take advantage of the small window that he had with the Zon being open, but it was just a big bait. It was a bait, man. They all stepped away and came right back in. Blew that Barb up all through full DR. It looked like he at least had Spirit, or Storm Shield, but he had amplified damage. He's getting hit by some residual jab damage, but it looks like Amp plus NATO's there just zeroed him real quick. That was insane. By the way, another big cheers to you guys. Really appreciate those subs. A huge doo-doo, established TTV, Jeff P. Man, you guys are the best. Big cheers.
I am overburdened. I can't carry.
This Zon is best Zon world.
I can't carry anymore.
Yeah, easy.
I can't carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I am overburdened.
I want this Zon build. Yeah, bro. I mean, it looks very impressive, right? But here's the thing about Zans, right? I mean, he's obviously got good gear. I don't think most people play Zons without having really decked out gear. I've never seen a competitive PvP Zon that wasn't just more than you would ever find on a solo self-found character, right? Like, we're talking 3 2020s or 3 X20s, nasty max AR lifer charms, faster run walk max AR, along with a lot of times nasty rare jabs, and just the works, man. You got to have the diadems, This Zon right here is a walk Zon. It's got probably perfect fortitude. Perfect, 100% perfect fortitude is probably one of the cheaper items on a Zon, right? They're decked out. But the other thing about Zons is that you've got to be a good player. Look at this stutter stepping walking that this Zon is doing, right? You're slowly progressing across the map, also relying on your teammates knowing what to do, the Necro keeping amp up. And look at this, that was good. That was a good play. Necro got in there, landed some damage, and you notice this Bone Spirit chasing the Zon around right there? That was a good play from the opposing Necro. That's another way to break the camp team up. And again, dude, big hits from those high damage jabs plus amp, and that just absolutely blew the Necro up when he came in. Absolutely annihilated him. But what I was saying is, it comes down to having a good team too. This guy's got an incredible player in Toshank on the Din, protecting and also harassing people to come in and try to shoot their shot, right? An incredible Necro player here, now on guard duty with the Zon. Like, these guys just know what to do. They know how to swap their roles. They know how to, you know, they're always watching what not only the opposing team is doing, but what their own teammates are doing and where they need to cover, right? Trusting in one another. All right, Toshank's going in. I can protect the Zon. I trust that Toshank is probably going to get this. We know he's nasty. Look at this vicious name lock there. The thing with the Sin is, oh my God, big arrows, and down goes the other team's Sin. I think that was the last one on their team right there. The thing with the Sin is they have fade up, and that will make it so that that amplified damage doesn't last as long. On top of giving you damage reduction, resists, and all of this, some people might know fade also reduces your curse duration. So it's one of the harder characters in teams to keep cursed, much like the Paladin when they have cleansing. Paladin's a little different though, because they kind of have to give up offense if they want to cleanse amp off from their team, and then the Necro's just going to recast it. But fade is always active. It's always just reducing the amount of time that curse is up on the Sin in particular. So as you were noticing there, the Sin was teleporting around, feeling pretty good about herself there for a second. There was no amp up. It's hard to keep that amp up on the Sin. Before it activates chilling armor, doesn't that increase damage too? I don't think so. Not by any significant degree.
Overburdened.
It will just fire ice bolts at people that attack to try to freeze them, but a lot of the IAS based characters will have cannot be frozen anyway. A lot of these will have cannot be frozen. The biggest buff from the fortitude is, of course, the 300% enhanced damage on it. That's the big thing. Also a huge life buff. I mean, resistances. It's a really good armor, man. Yeah, it's more for the defense for sure. Zon got a nice name lock there, and it looks like, oh man, Toshank got in there, threw some hams at the barb, again trying to come in and shoot a shot, and that's exactly what I mean. Toshank, just like a pit bull guarding the Zon, man. That barb comes in, and the barb actually gets chased away. Not just spamming hammers in front of the Zon, actually chases him away, chains him, lands a hammer, finishes him, dude. That's so crazy, so demoralizing. And look at this Zon. Another good thing about this Zon. It might look very impressive. He's blowing some people up with the amp and everything, but what I think goes unnoticed is his ability to quickly grab these name locks from people that close the distance. Look at that. He's always looking for it. As soon as the druid comes in, he's looking for that name lock. The stutter stepping, the constant movement here, always presenting a constant threat. That's the harder thing to do with a Zon. It's not good enough just to build a Zon, right? You've got to be good on that Zon. And certainly, who we're watching right now, Titan, this guy is. This guy's an incredible camp Zon player. Look at that. Immediately, druid comes in, immediately looks for the name lock. Great aim for the Necro coming in as well. And look at this, even just pay attention to where these multi-shots are going, right? Like, they're not random. He's trying to position himself to try to cut these angles, almost like he's trying not even to rely on the people that are guarding him, right? Not even to rely on the people that are camping the Zon. He's trying to protect himself in a way that cuts off the most desirable angle for his opponents to come and approach him from, right? And intelligently, the other team right there did a 1-2 punch. Sent the Druid out front, sent the Necro to follow up. Impossible to cover both of those angles. But that's exactly what the Zon's doing. Almost like she's not even relying on being protected by the team. Just choosing really good angles for the multi-shot. Always looking for the name lock when he can. Just very good Zon play here. And down he goes. They got the Necro from afar, and that's what I mean, dude. They amplify damage. That was all multi-shot. I'm pretty sure that was multi-shot right there that took the Necro out from 2 screens away. Just insane. Team synergy, great team players here, and also great individual